forget politics for just a minute, but there, was a statement made years ago that it takes a village. And the reality is I don't like that, because I think biblically it takes a mom and dad. But in a world where there's not a mom and dad, guess what? It takes a village, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really what we've done. We've created a village around these kids where we all know each other,
It's kind of like going backwards a little bit, because when we were growing up, it did take a village, because our mom and dads were working 2 or 3 jobs.
Sure.
Especially,
Yeah.
if you immigrated over, or
Yeah.
back then, it was a lot of blue collar.
Yeah. And on my street, anybody had permission to spank my butt.
Oh yeah,
right.
And they took advantage of. I don't know about you, but they took advantage
did.
with me.
Yes, exactly.
But I'm glad they did. I was
sir.
angry at the time, but I'm glad they did, because it did lead me the right way.
Yeah.
But then we got into this world where mom and dad, it was easier to split up.
Sure.
So now you had a mom or just a dad.
Yep.
And then as we got further, you're lucky if you had a mom and dad again.
Correct.
So all of a sudden we came full circle again to it takes a village.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Where, as soon as somebody finds out his girlfriend or whoever's pregnant, they book.
Yep.
Or she books or he books, and or during the marriage, just because they had an argument, they don't think of the children. They just think of their, it's selfish kind of.
Yeah.
And they just break up the marriage. I mean, I get it. There are some cases where you worked at it as hard as you can, you just can't anymore.
Sure.
But you still got to keep the kids in mind.
Yeah.
Because you're right, when they get bored, that's when I used to get in trouble the most.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So it was great that they always had me doing something, even though I hated it. Even if I had to go rake the neighbor's yard, I'm like,
right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not my yard.
Yes.
But they did keep us busy in that sense.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you're doing that. But also, in the high school, you have the rock.
Yeah, so the ROC program is, again, just another way to serve. We have seen, we finally kind of figured out when Billy shows up to first period and he's acting a fool. We all remember some goofball in our class that acted a fool, right?
Yeah.
But nobody can figure out why Billy's acting a fool. Well, when Billy rode the bus this morning, everybody on the bus was calling him Stinky because Billy stinks. Why does Billy stink? Well, because his family can't afford to get him deodorant. Wait a minute, wait. So the whole bus issue, the whole issue in first period could be solved with some speed stick? Yeah. So what we figured out is we created the ROC in the school, and any need a kid has, hygiene products, deodorant, feminine products, toothpaste, toothbrush, clothes, even food, school supplies. Teachers keep school supplies in their desk to give away that they spend with their own money, and they don't have a lot of money to spend the way we pay them. But any of that can be found at the ROC. And so these kids knock on the door all day long of the ROC and have the opportunity to come in and get whatever they need. But in there is people who will love on them, encourage them, let them rant and rave if they need to, if they're overly emotional in the moment, sit down. We create a little couch. Here's a little living room scenario. But it's given us the opportunity to, one knock on the door is, can I have a pencil? The next knock on the door is, I had sex for the first time last month and I'm late. What do I do now?
Wow.
And so we have this opportunity. Well, they measured the suspendable offenses. Every time a kid got some kind of offense that was a suspense from school, they measured it in a year, and Leesburg High was the highest in our region.
Wow.
We instituted the ROC. A year and a half later, they measured the same time period. Now with the ROC, there were 23. During that time period, there were 225.
Wow.
Before in the same time period. So what we found was we solved Billy's issue. Times some 200 other kids, right? So in a year's time, in a school where there's a population of 1,700, in 1 year's time, we'll have as many as 1,500 or 1,600 check-ins at the ROC.
Wow.
And so it just gives us an opportunity, and you just don't realize the smallest, silliest little stuff. Educators will tell you, just keep them in class. Just get them to show up on time. Well, when Jamal, my 15-year-old football player, decides that he wants to get out on the street or go see his friends or do something else, he shows up at school in a wife beater. Well, wife beater's not dress code. Homeboy knows what he's doing, right? He's trying to get kicked out of school. So the teacher sends him up first period. Well, they used to send him home, but now they go down to the ROC. He comes, we open up. How much is this shirt? No, it's yours. Put it on, get your butt back to class. And he's back in class.
That's cool.
So you multiply those stories times 1,500, 1,600, and it has had a profound effect on our schools.
Wow. And these are all donated to the Rock, which is it's a big room in the high school.
Yep.
It's not a rock for
Correct.
some of you. It's a classroom that they go into. But do people donate these things? Do the school supply? How does that work?
It's amazing because we figured out, depending on the size of the rock of the school, it takes us probably anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000 to launch a rock. We're going to paint it. We're going to put all new furniture in it. We're going to, deck it out, put all supplies. What's amazing has been the way the community has come around. So we'll create some social media. We'll have a Stock the Rock Day. Hey, we need hoodies. We need toothpaste. We're running low on blah, blah, blah. And boom, it shows up.
Donation.
And so as a church, we used to have it in our missions that we had money whenever there was supplies needed for the rock. We finally took it out because we never spent a dime because the community keeps it resourced. Back to, we have a bunch of retirees around us. One of our retiree community, the Knitting Club, found out about the rock on social media, and the ladies came up with $400. Come and present a check to the lady running the rock. Well, the senior retirement community across the highway, they found out those knitting ladies over there gave $400. So they raised $600, right? And so really what became this almost competitive but fun that the community funds it. And so it's amazing to watch. Dentists find out about it, and the next thing you know, they send cases of toothbrush or toothpaste, or this group finds out, or the sheriff's department gives, or just, it's been amazing to watch.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we're, like, if I go, because my wife was talking about that too. She said that you also work with social services when they walk into a house and they see the kid has no bed, no clothes. Rather than taking the child, you work with them and say, hey, this is what this family needs.
Yep.
And then the donations come in, and the child is able to stay with their family.
Yes.
It's not that their family is neglecting their child. They can't afford to get them a bed.
Correct. There's quite a few kids that end up going into foster care, and it could be avoided. Right. So my wife and our foster parents, we had 8 foster kids, adopted 5 kids out of the foster care system.
Wow.
And so I know the world, right? Pretty well, lived it quite a bit. But yeah, sometimes they walk in and there's a scenario where grandma and grandpa have taken in some kids because mom's having a hard time on drugs, whatever. But grandma and grandpa weren't ready to receive kids, so they don't have beds for them. Right. Well, the DCF worker shows up, Department of Children and Families, shows up and goes, well, we got a problem. We're going to need to take them if you don't have a bed for them. Yeah. So something like that. As soon as a kid gets taken and put into the system, it costs taxpayers in Florida $30,000, right, for that kid to be in the system and all that has to go with that. Well, if we can solve something as simple as getting a bed for that grandma and grandpa, we set up a family to stay together, and we save the taxpayers $30,000. So it makes a big deal. So we have a program called Care Portal. It's an app on the phone that we can send out an immediate blast.
Say that again, Care
Portal. Yeah.
It's on which app now?
It's the app is called Care Portal. So if you go into Apple or your Google Play, for your Android, you can search Care Portal and download it. And in your city, you can start a Care Portal group. And then caseworkers start to know that, hey, there's a group that will fill needs. And so we'll get a caseworker, find a scenario, get on, fill it out. Boom, we all get notifications. Here's a need. And we get the opportunity to try to fill that quickly and maybe keep that kid with their grandparents or whatever the situation is. Yeah.
That's great. And a lot of people always tell me, because I at one point I was a hoarder. I just kept buying stuff and everything. And they're like, why don't you have a big garage sale? I'm like, why? Because I can make $5 or $10.
Right.
I'm like, why don't I give it to someone who needs it?
Sure.
And so, but for a while there, it was difficult to find a place where people would say, yeah, I'll take that TV, or I'll take that bedroom set. And I'm not talking, broken down legs or whatever. I'm talking nice sets. It was hard to give it. So it's nice to know that now you can go on the app.
Care Portal.
Care Portal.
Yeah.
And
in any of your cities, there's a good chance there's a group maybe there. It's really been touted in Florida from the governor's office. It's really been pushed, as a program to use, but it's a great thing. It's a great resource.
Well, even around the holidays, Christmas time, let's think about how many of you, have kids that have outgrown their toys that they didn't even touch.
Yep.
and you can go on Care Portal or donate those to people. Can't even have a Christmas, which we're going to lead into in a little bit here.
Yeah.
But there are so many things that we don't use or we don't need anymore. And we've had the blessings to get a new bedroom set, and some people just throw it out in the back and burn it up. Give it to somebody who needs it. And now you know where you can do that.